Thank you for joining me to learn about the green corridors in Philipstown. I'm Nicole Wooten, Director of Natural Resources for the Hudson Highlands Land Trust. I'm here to tell you about our recently completed Green Corridors plan for the Eastern Hudson Highlands. Green corridors are the lands that wildlife and people need in order to thrive and move across the landscape. The plan identifies natural area connections across Putnam County, including here in Philipstown. Protecting these areas is important for wildlife, and they provide many economic, ecological, and social benefits for our human communities as well. Forests help clean our air and absorb carbon. Wetlands absorb floodwaters and help keep water clean for drinking. And publicly accessible places meet local recreational needs, including hunting, fishing, or walking in nature. The plan lists tools and resources to help you maximize these benefits locally. I'm going to give a brief introduction to the project and our work at the Hudson Highlands Land Trust. At the end of the presentation, you'll know a bit more about the Land Trust, what green corridors are, what in the plan might be useful to your town, and how Philipstown might take advantage of the opportunities presented in the plan. You can download the plan from the Hudson Highlands Land Trust website at www.hhlt.org. The Hudson Highlands Land Trust is a nonprofit community-supported organization headquartered in Garrison. In the past 33 years, we've directly conserved thousands of acres and facilitated the conservation of thousands more. As of this presentation, we hold 3 preserves that are open to the public in the towns of Philipstown and Putnam Valley. Our staff are dedicated to work with landowners who want to protect land and work with towns to protect natural resources, whenever possible, connecting people with nature. This is the Highlands region in New York where we work. The Highlands east of the Hudson River cover all of Putnam County, a little bit of Dutchess and Westchester, and continues into Connecticut. The Highlands region is a federally recognized ecoregion of great importance, and our part in it has many significant natural area features, including large forested areas, rare plant and animal species, regionally important wildlife corridors, and regionally important recreational corridors. In 2021, the Open Space Institute completed a trail connectivity plan for the Highlands region west of the Hudson that highlights opportunities to permanently protect and enhance the landscape. They work towards the creation of a connected regional trail network that will provide recreational opportunities for residents and visitors, protect critical wildlife habitat, and safeguard local watersheds. This Green Corridors plan complements that effort on the east side of the New York Highlands. Hudson Highlands Land Trust and our New York Highlands project partners created the Green Corridors plan to identify links between existing conserved areas in the Eastern Hudson Highlands. The project was funded in part by a grant from the New York State Environmental Protection Fund through the Hudson River Estuary Program of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. The plan's maps are being used by the Hudson Highlands Land Trust and conservation partners in the New York Highlands Network to inform land protection priorities. Municipalities have a vital role in this regional effort too. We were pleased to work with Philipstown and Putnam Valley to incorporate local priorities in the plan. We wanted to identify forests, marsh, and meadow connections across the Highlands because wildlife are at risk now. A 2019 UN report said that globally, 1 million animal and plant species are now threatened with extinction, many within decades. Across North America, more than 3 billion birds have been lost since 1970. And bugs like butterflies, which are at the core of our ecosystems, are declining even faster than birds. Conservation is part of the solution, but we need to first identify what lands need help the most. People also need to move. A connected, walkable community with green corridors in the form of linear parks can benefit both wildlife and people. Helping people move on the land can help us reach climate change mitigation goals and keep us healthy. To identify green corridors, we pulled together different pieces of information to create a plan for connecting our landscape. Those pieces included what we know about wildlife habitat needs, an analysis of the movement of some sensitive wildlife species, including salamanders, bald eagle, and eel, what we know about community priorities published in reports, and based on land trust existing relationships, we worked with the towns of Philipstown and Putnam Valley to include community priorities and input. These different data sources and analyses are shown in a series of maps in the plan, some of which your town can use in local planning and decision-making. The first map is a scientific analysis of the areas that are most important for wildlife movement. It includes new information on wildlife connections that was verified on the ground by scientists. The second map shows conservation priorities of organizations that work in this region. This map is helpful for towns to know where there might be opportunities to work with partners on land protection. The third map includes input from Philipstown and Putnam Valley. And the final map combines the priorities from the other maps. In addition to the maps, the plan includes resources to help local decision makers, landowners, and local conservation organizations who want to include green corridors in their planning and decision making. We had to get creative to get community input on priority connections when we couldn't hold in-person workshops. We held an online workshop to add local knowledge to other data. We created a community survey to solicit opinions about conservation and open space and which connections were most important. Over 100 people who live, work, and or play in Philipstown, responded to the survey. The figure on the left shows that about 90% of the people who responded to the survey were residents. The table on the right shows that what people want in newly conserved lands. As with other questions about priority resources, drinking water and wildlife rose to the top. The survey provided an opportunity for people to share these comments, and these highlighted the potential of new conservation areas to reduce congestion in existing sites and trails to improve safety and reduce reliance on cars. Here's a representative quote. There's more survey results in the Green Corridors Plan appendices, and you can use what you learn about respondent interests and priorities in your outreach. For example, respondents are very interested to know what Philipstown is doing to protect natural resources, and they suggested that the town share information through local newspapers. The plan has a comprehensive list of tools that can be used to protect green corridors. I've already mentioned land protection, and other tools include land use plans and educational programs that raise awareness of wildlife connections, like pollinator pathways and the amphibian monitoring and road crossing volunteer programs. Philipstown is already using many of the land use tools mentioned, including a natural resource inventory, an updated comprehensive plan, an open space inventory, and local wetland laws. The plan has an extensive list of funding sources to implement the plan, including over 30 state and federal funding opportunities and over 30 private foundational opportunities. There are also resources for guidance and technical assistance for using the land use and educational tools. The scientific priorities map shown on the right will be the most useful map for Philipstown. Green areas show current private and public conservation lands, and the orange to red color show connections or possible connections. The darker the color, the more significant the connection. This analysis builds on all of the good work that has been done by Philipstown over the past 20 years and longer, and highlights opportunities to keep existing protected lands healthy through connections and buffers to protected lands. The plan has new information about wildlife priorities, as well as dozens of resources that align with local priorities. This information is already being put to use, such as through the Philipstown Community Preservation Plan Task Force. So I ask that you consider how Philipstown could continue to use the Green Corridors Plan and its analyses to build on its previous work. Thank you for listening. I encourage you to visit www.hhlt.org and download the plan to learn more about green corridors. And thank you again to the Hudson River Estuary Programs for supporting our conservation work in the Hudson Highlands.